Hi everyone. So in the last video, I showed you what I did for step 1 and kind of showed you my start of step 2 and how it connected to step 1. Now I'm going to show you step 2, the evidence I select, how I analyze it, and then how I'm going to edit it once I've kind of drafted it in my text notes. All right, so I'm going to jump to step 2, the task. All right, this is where I'm getting text snaps to support my opinion of if Odysseus is a hero or not, and I decided he is a hero. I didn't want to use my previous snaps. I'm going to make new ones, and then I'm going to do this option. I'm going to have 2 text snaps that support my opinion that he's a hero, and one that shows the other side. So one that shows a reason why people might disagree with me, which is known as the counter argument. All right, this is a super fancy text snap. If you want to make yours like really fancy and pretty, I did this. It took me a while. For the rest of this project, I'm not going to do it like this. In fact, I did this whole thing and then decided not to use it for this project. But I figured I'd show it to y'all anyway because I made it. Okay, so in my last video, I went over this first example. I said that because I wanted to show that a hero is someone who is determined and perseveres despite being oppressed, I wanted to find a moment when I thought Odysseus fit that example. And so I went to the first description of Odysseus in the virtual text. I took a screenshot, copied and pasted it here. I also took a picture from the graphic novel that I copied and pasted here. I took the picture, emailed this myself, downloaded it, put it in. You can also do it on your phone if you're, you can edit slides on your phone. And then I just wrote some analysis, a rough draft, about how the first time the reader is introduced to Odysseus, he is groaning and with eyes wet. So I quoted that directly from the text. As he dreams of going home, his depressed demeanor is juxtaposed with the reader's expectation of a hero. However, it is his vulnerability and humanity that truly makes Odysseus a hero. People cannot relate to perfection, but they can relate to a struggle. So these were just like, this was my analysis, my ideas about why I thought this showed him being a hero. He's relatable. He's vulnerable. We see him struggling, but also he's not actually giving up, even though it might seem like he is. All right, then for my next piece of evidence, I decided just to go further into the same moment. So it's the same moment, the same section where Odysseus is on the sea crying, but I found a different quote. And so that actually makes it new evidence, okay? So you might be like, oh, you're just using the same thing twice. Well, I'm not. I'm getting more detailed into it. I could have gone to another point in the story, but I decided to really focus in and analyze this one part in more depth. So I chose this other quote, but when day came, he sat on the rocky shore and broke his own heart groaning with eyes wet, scanning the bare horizon of the sea. And I took another picture from the graphic novel. This is him hunched over looking at the sea. This is not a smudge. This is little Hermes coming down to tell Calypso to let him go. All right, and then I analyzed it by saying, while Odysseus's vulnerability and depression may be misunderstood as weakness at first, it later becomes clear that these are side effects of his determination. So I'm trying to say that, like, even though people might think he's given up, he might look weak, this is actually just like he's so determined and so strong that this is what he's doing. He refuses to give up his dream of going home, and his persistence and refusal to be broken by his imprisonment make him truly heroic. So what I'm trying to say here is I think the fact that, like, he didn't just give in to Calypso and say, fine, I'll be your husband, like, whatever, I'm going to give up trying to go home. The fact that he refused to give in, that's what makes him heroic. Now, by making that choice, we'd see him suffering, but the suffering will pay off when he's about to be freed. All right, then I did a counter argument example. I was thinking, okay, well, what if someone didn't agree with me? What might they say? And so I present their point of view, and then I explain why my point of view is still valid. So for this, I took a picture from the graphic novel, and this is right before, it's actually on the page before these images, and it's an image of Penelope struggling in her home in Ithaca, and it's superimposed above Calypso's island. And it's meant to show us that while Odysseus is struggling on the ocean, Penelope is doing the same thing. And I really loved this from the graphic novel because you can see how their posture is the same. So the idea is that these two people are really going through the same struggle in different places for very different reasons. So here's the opposing viewpoint that I explored and how I tried to make it make sense with my ideas. So I said, some people may read the Odyssey and think that Penelope is the true hero. She is just as determined and persistent as Odysseus, and she does not have the benefit of having adventures and seeing the world, or having gods appear from the sky to save her. She spends 20 years raising her son and maintaining her household in her husband's absence, despite the oppression of over 100 men who invade her space. So all of this is like me imagining someone who'd be like, no, Odysseus is not a hero. Like, what might they say? Okay. So this is the counter argument, what someone else might say. I use this phrase right here, some people, to show that this is like an opposing view. Now I address it with my opinion. Yes, Penelope is just as heroic as Odysseus. So one good way to have a successful argument is to make a concession or to like show that you can see both sides. When you just tell people that they're wrong, they get mad. So they often don't want to agree with you. But if you can say to someone, yeah, you're right, but I'm still right too, then you have a better chance of winning them over. So that's the strategy I'm taking here. Yes, Penelope is just as heroic as Odysseus. Stories do not have to have only one hero. By reflecting Odysseus' best qualities, Penelope's actions support the idea that Odysseus is a hero. Her strength is equal to his, and she is just as clever as he is. So what I'm trying to say is, like, anyone who might disagree with me that Odysseus is a hero and say, well, Penelope's a hero because she's the one at home doing all these things, I'm like, you're right, she is a hero. And she's a hero, but she's showing the same traits that Odysseus is: determination, perseverance, refusal to give up in the face of oppression, just holding true to your dreams and your beliefs. And so my argument is that if you're going to say Penelope's a hero for doing those things, well, then you also have to admit Odysseus is a hero because he's doing those same things. So that's how I handled that. All right, so then for the writing section, the instructions say, take your analysis from the text, snaps and paste it here. Make sure it is edited. These ideas will become the analysis in your teach paragraphs. So what I did is I went back to my previous slides. I copied everything I had put in these gray text boxes and I pasted it right here, and I haven't edited it yet. I haven't reread it together. And so then the next thing I will do is I will look at it together and I'm going to edit it and kind of try to make it fit together. Think about, did I say my ideas clearly? What could I say more strongly? How can I take my ideas and get them sort of essay ready? And I will show you that in the next video. Hopefully. Fingers crossed.